Okay, I finally calmed down a little bit from my last video, so that means it's time for us to assess everything we know about Elden Ring Nightreign so far. And I think it's safe to say that literally nobody saw this shit coming. And as a Sunbro, seeing FromSoft make a PvE co-op game makes me feel like Thanos when he sits down in that one meme. But as excited as I was after watching the trailer, I had like 10,000 questions. The main one being, what in the fuck is the Nameless King doing here? And thankfully, after the trailer, FromSoft released a ton of info about what we can expect from this game. So let's start off by reading directly from Bandai Namco's website on what the game is going to be like. The world of Elden Ring is getting a standalone multiplayer co-op action survival game that challenges players to band together in order to defeat the Night Lord. No idea who the fuck the Night Lord is, but let's keep reading. Teaming up in squads of 3 or daring to go solo, they must outlast a 3-day and night cycle, making split decisions about combat and exploration across changing maps to become strong enough to take down terrifying bosses at the end of each day. So it looks like it's going to be 3 players max in each game. And interestingly enough, it seems like it's going full Majora's Mask with having each game take place over a single 3-day and night cycle, with it progressively getting tougher as the time goes on. So yeah, I'm already sold, but they go into a lot more detail in the next part. Players take on the night together in an all-new experience from the team at From Software. Elden Ring Nightreign will be a multiplayer-focused return to the Round Table Hold, set in a universe parallel to the events of Elden Ring. Players must choose from 8 unique characters, each with their own unique abilities and powerful ultimates. Their journeys take them to Limveld, where they will have to make split-second decisions when it comes to combat and exploration in the face of a night cycle that shrinks the map with the coming night's tide. At the end of each night, players will face a powerful boss, and if victorious, awaken to bigger challenges. Each session will culminate in the 3rd night, where they must face off against the chosen Night Lord. Individuals can fight the night alone, but strength will come in numbers. Nightfarers must learn how to cooperate to take down these challenges, combining their unique abilities together for an unparalleled experience in the Elden Ring universe. So holy shit, a lot going on here. Let's start with the fact that it's set in a parallel universe to the events of Elden Ring, which immediately gets me crazy excited. Because what that means is they're able to get really wacky with this game if they wanted to. They do not need to abide by any of the lore in the main game, so they can add a Godwin or even a Marika boss fight if they wanted to. But that's just me getting excited. We'll have to wait for confirmation for anything like that. It also seems like the Night Lord isn't a person, but the title for whichever boss you fight on the 3rd day. It also says that you're able to choose this fight too. So I would imagine the Nameless King from Dark Souls 3 is one of those people that you can choose, which gives me a ton of hopium for other iconic bosses from the Souls series to show up in this. How is this real, man? But let's keep reading. All is not lost for those who fall in defeat. Unsuccessful runs will grant players relics to allow them to customize and upgrade their characters tailored to their personal playstyles. Elden Ring Nightreign is unlike any experience created before by From Software. In this condensed action RPG, players will never experience the same journey twice, as enemies, rewards, and Limveld itself are ever shifting, and evolving each session in the realm of the Night Lord. Defeating greater enemies and venturing into the more dangerous parts of the map will uncover more powerful weapons and greater rune rewards. Find sites of grace to give each hero a chance to level up and gain crucial power. With each session-based adventure being akin to playing through an open-air dungeon, every journey provides an opportunity to grow lasting stat bonuses. Successful runs against the Night bring players ever closer to defeating the realm of the Night Lord and unraveling the story behind each hero in this parallel world. Okay, so it definitely seems like they're going for more of a roguelike kind of experience, which makes complete sense for a multiplayer game like this. It also claims that the map is ever-changing as well, which is a fantastic idea. Because the first thing I thought of is it would probably get boring dropping into Limgrave every single game. Or wait, it's Limveld now, that's my bad. And it seems like levels are gained from sites of grace, and they describe the game as an open-air dungeon. And the last part mentions that we have 8 characters that we can choose from the start of the game, each having their own unique abilities and ultimates, whatever the hell those end up being. And it also makes it sound like that they have their own lore, too. It doesn't say anything about them being pre-established characters or new ones, so I guess we're gonna have to wait for more information about that. Now let's also take a look at a PC Gamer article where some lucky bastard got to play a preview of this game for 6 hours. This is where we get a lot more of the specifics about what the game is going to be like. And also keep in mind that this is from the perspective of somebody from PC Gamer, so I don't really know this guy's credentials. The first thing he says is this spin-off makes a perplexing first impression, treating Elden Ring's weapons, enemy types, and starting zone Limgrave as an all-you-can-use asset store. The vibes get even stranger when you see a battle royale style wall of deadly rain encircling the map, and characters dashing around on foot like they're set to permanent fast forward, now nimbly mantling cliffs and walls. It seems almost sacrilegious to take the pieces of a game that was so microscopically assembled and go hog wild with them. If Da Vinci wanted to repaint the Mona Lisa doing a Gene Simmons tongue thing, well, sure, he earned it, but it'd just be an adjustment, you know? Okay, after that, I officially hate whoever wrote this. But there is really important information ahead, so let's keep going. Nightreign is Elden Ring Turbo, a condensed 3-player roguelike with a little dash of Monster Hunter to it, as you choose a final boss to face at the end of each 30-ish minute run. That's assuming you survive 2 days of the circle shrinking to a focal point somewhere in Alt Limgrave. It's Limveld, dumbass. Each night culminating in its own tough boss battle. Okay, so the Battle Royale style wall of deadly rain encircling the map sounds a little bit goofy, I'm not gonna lie. But FromSoft has literally never missed, so I have all the faith in the world that it's not gonna look like some goofy Fortnite storm. They also talk about the mantling of cliffs and walls, which we can actually see in the original trailer. So it seems like they're adding in the Sekiro climbing things for easier traveling around the map. Which, you know, makes sense since we're going to be avoiding a storm now. It also clarifies that each run is going to be about 30 minutes long. So 30 minutes with 3 days and nights means it's going to be about 5 minutes for the day and 5 minutes for the night. It goes on to talk more about the director, which is not Miyazaki, but actually Junya Ishizaki. And before anybody gets scared, don't worry, he served as the battle director on Elden Ring, and he's been with From Software since the original Dark Souls. So I think it's safe to say that the game is in good hands. The next bit says it's a lean and unusually straightforward game for From Software. No PvP elements at all, no invasions, no esoteric multiplayer covenants a la Dark Souls. We wanted to have a sense of accomplishment from each defeat and each success, and we wanted this to be different from Elden Ring and past titles, Ishizaki says. Win or lose, you'll end up with relics you can equip in future sessions, offering a range of buffs to HP or magic attacks or even your basic actions. I found one relic that made my healing flask also heal my allies. A huge benefit when we each only had 4 to quaff before running dry. Okay, well that answers the PvP question. So yeah, this game is entirely co-op, which I'm totally fine with. They also get a little bit more into the relics, which with the example seems pretty good. Your Estus healing all your allies is a pretty huge buff. And since they said that relics can follow you into new games, that means that once you find this thing, you can take it into whichever game you want in the future. And the next little part gets a little bit more into the characters and their differences. Preset heroes with unique abilities replace the character creator. The Lith Duchess, for example, has a tiny HP pool, but she dodges attacks with a Bloodborne-style quickstep instead of the usual roll. So yeah, these characters have sort of their own classes to them, it seems like. With the Lith Duchess having a tiny HP pool, but a ton of mobility to make up for it. Another quote from Ishizaki says the focus was condensing this experience down. The RPG elements, the exploration, the character building and leveling. We wanted that to feel like it was all coming together and culminating in a boss fight, but in a more concentrated form. For this new sense of accomplishment that you wouldn't quite find with Elden Ring or our previous titles, we felt like we needed some new mechanics and new elements to add into the mix. We've never really held the stance, let's absolutely not do anything that other companies are doing or not follow any trends. So we didn't really see this as chasing a trend, but we saw these as interesting elements that could work well within our multiplayer-focused, session-based gameplay. So yeah, it seems like they're really taking a lot from other video games, which totally makes sense for FromSoft doing their first multiplayer game. And personally, as somebody who loves making new characters in these games as opposed to going to like New Game Plus 99 or something, the idea of using a different build each game makes me really excited. And here in this next part, they get into what we can expect from whenever we start each game. When I first drop onto Nightreign's map, I don't know how to decide where to go, so I dash towards the nearest fort and immediately get in over my head. At level 1, you're extremely squishy, but there's always a low-level camp not far away that serves as an easy source of runes to farm 1 to 2 levels and a couple weapon pickups. Sites of Grace dot the map to refill your flasks and let you level up all of your stats in one go. No RPG picking and choosing, but they no longer provide a completely safe haven. After a few minutes of free exploration, the circle starts closing, pushing me towards the eventual first night's boss fight. We die to the demi-human swordsman and queen. A pair of Elden Ring bosses will absolutely be curb stomping within a few hours. As with most roguelikes, knowledge and familiarity will take you a long way in Nightreign. 4 hours after starting, my co-op squad had our strategy down to a science. Land, hit the nearest outpost just to grab a couple levels and any weapons with useful passive skills, then beeline for the nearest church, which will present us with an extra healing flask each. Stop along the way only for easy fights. Stay grouped up if anyone encounters a field boss we think we can take, like the weak sauce perfumer who died in a few hits as long as you avoid his one lazy fire attack. If we have time, we rush to the second church before the end of day 1. Our goal is to get at least 3 of the 4 that are spaced around the edges of the map at the end of day 2. So unsurprisingly, when you first spawn in, you're only level 1. And it seems like there's a lot of random forts and shit placed all over the map that you can go to in order to beat some enemies and level up a little bit in the first day. And each Church of Marika that you can find seems like it will give you an extra flask each time. It also briefly mentions that you can find weapons with passive skills. So I guess like the normal game, enemies have a chance to drop their weapons that you can find, except this time they'll come with skills that can help you. Calling out targets and abilities is key. Against Night 1's boss, we gang up on the fast but weak demi-human swordsman while ignoring the lumbering queen. One guardian uses his ult, an AoE dive bomb, to revive one of us when we go down. You heal your allies in Nightreign by simply attacking them. By the time we fight Margit the Fell Omen on Night 2, we're arguably overleveled, having cleared out a fortress, deleted a dragon thanks to a massive bleed hit doubled by the Duchess's restage, and even stopped by an item vendor to grab some smithing stones to upgrade our weapons 1 tier. We're nearly at what we think is the game's level cap of 15 when we fight the final boss for our run. A Cerberus stand-in with some fiery bad breath. Okay, holy shit. First of all, did that not sound like fucking Destiny? One guardian uses his ult, an AoE dive bomb? Like, what? So yeah, it seems like the ultimates are really going to be like the normal ultimates that we would see in like hero shooters or Destiny or something like that. Another thing is the mention of smithing stones to upgrade weapons. So it really seems like with that, the relics, the passive abilities on weapons, there's a ton of mechanics at play here. Which is awesome because things like that keep the game from getting stale. And now for this last bit, they talk about the map a little bit. Nightraign's map is peppered with familiar outposts, ruins, and forts full of enemies, caves, and jails, which weren't functioning in the build that we played. While the bosses and enemies you encounter in these locations vary from run to run, I am a bit worried that retracing my steps across the mostly unchanging topography dozens of times will get old, even with that peppering of change. But Ishizaki says the map will sometimes see large-scale changes to terrain in the form of procedurally appearing volcanoes or swamps or forests, and hinted at some degree of meta progression that will apply to the storylines of the hero characters and the map evolving in some way as you play more of the game. And one last quote from Ishizaki. We wanted the map itself to be a giant dungeon, so players will have the chance to traverse and explore a different way every time they play. You have to choose the boss you want to face at the end of the 3rd day. Once you've made that choice, maybe you have an idea of how you want to strategize against that boss, and this might change how you approach the map. We wanted to offer players that agency to decide, okay, I need to go after a poison weapon this time to face this boss. Maybe that will take me to an area I don't usually go, or an enemy I don't usually want to fight. Hopefully this gives a little more variation between runs as well. And the writer of the article pretty much ends it by saying that they enjoyed it for the most part, but a lot of things seem kind of bare bones and not super fleshed out, so they hope that they change it in the final build. Okay, let's go back to that one part he said about the changing map. Procedurally generated volcanoes, swamps, or forests. That's right, baby, we're getting procedurally generated poison swamps. This is the future of From Software. No, seriously, that probably will happen though. But yeah, after reading all of this shit, I don't know about you guys, I am like way more fucking excited for this thing. It sounds pretty weird, and it's FromSoft's first time trying something like this, but like I said before, they have literally never missed, so I'm gonna put my faith in them. Let's finish this video off with sort of like a TLDR of everything we know about this game. So it's going to be a co-op action survival game with roguelike elements. You can start each game with 1 to 3 people, and each run takes about 30 minutes. You can choose between 8 playable characters with unique moves and abilities. The game will take place over 3 days and 3 nights, and you get to choose the final boss on the 3rd night. You're able to earn relics that you can bring into your future runs of the game. For example, like a relic that allows your healing flask to affect your allies too. And there will be some kind of storm that gets smaller as time goes on. So yeah, this shit sounds pretty crazy, guys. Definitely let me know what you guys are thinking about this game in the comments. I'm insanely curious. Also, don't forget to leave a like and definitely subscribe if you want to keep up to date on this shit. I'm gonna be following this game insanely closely until it comes out. But anyways, thanks for watching, as always, and I'll see you in the next video. And play Dark Souls 1.